Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is still out on assignment, believe it or not. He is still getting things done. Now, I want to say welcome to episode 688 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. For institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. Quite simply, we like to call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host today is Charles Bishop and A.D. Drew. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer. You know, as we like to remind everybody, multi-Hall of Famer, that is Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, let's jump on here and see how Charles Bishop and A.D. Drew are doing today. And as we're doing that, today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting education consulting and data analytics. With that being said, let me go to you, Charles. How are you doing today?
Doing well, Don. Doing well. Got an opportunity to catch Coach Chris Dishman who at Texas Southern University. Got a quick camp update as they go into their first scrimmage this upcoming Saturday. Of course, a lot of teams will be having their scrimmages this upcoming Saturday, but kind of got a good overview of what's happening over there at Texas Southern this over the past week and a half of practice.
Charles is talking about practice on both sides of that. Drew, how are you doing today?
Tired excitement. I'm tired because it's the beginning of the school year and there's a lot of work that has to be done. You can only do so much before the students arrive on campus. A lot of stuff that you have to do. That's the tired part. The exciting part is the students are starting to arrive on campus. So we know we're only a couple of weeks away from kickoff. And while programs like Prairie View, Texas Southern, FAMU may be doing some stuff this weekend on the level that I am, most of those things will be starting next weekend with the scrimmages and things like that. And this is where you see, okay, yeah, my staff is ready to go from last year. Yeah, I need to put an ad on Indeed and see what else I can get out there.
It's like that. Let's play a little video. I think, Charles, you got a chance to talk to Coach Dishman. Let's see if we can get his comments at this time.
Well, here with Texas Southern head football coach Chris Dishman. And Coach, I want to start off just kind of ask you your thoughts on the first few days of camp now that we're into the second week.
Yeah, it's been going well. Very good. We have no injuries. That's first and foremost. So everybody's staying healthy. Everybody looking very good for us to be going on and to win the SWAC championship.
I know one of those things coaches particularly take a look at going into the first scrimmage, but a lot of fans curious in terms of position groups, especially along the offensive, defensive lines, in terms of how have you guys really taken on this heat and how you've been looking?
Well, the heat's going to be there. I tell the guys, don't worry about the heat. Just keep practicing, keep moving. Make sure they're paying close to the closest details as possible. We have not picked starters yet. I will not pick starters till the week of Prairie View, and that's when we know our starters. We have our game, our scrimmage this week. Come on out and visit us.
What time is the scrimmage?
9 o'clock.
Okay. One of the things, I know you're huge on discipline. We talked about it all last year. And have you seen a difference from year one to year two with regards to how this team is meshing in terms of what you want to see?
Well, I can actually coach this year. Last year, I was chasing guys off the field, go to class, go to study hall, do this right, don't do this. And this year, our seniors, I gave the team to them. They have done a heck of a job of managing the team. We as coaches do a heck of a job of coaching the team. So they have managed the team well and make sure guys are in the right places at the right time.
One of the things that we see, especially on the FCS level, we see a lot of roster churn. We see guys transferring into programs, especially in and around the SWAC. We've seen it quite a bit this past off season. But in terms of the way your guys are meshing into the culture here at Texas Southern.
Well, that's the thing. If you're truthful and honest with these guys, they will love on you and do well for you. So I'm a very honest and truthful to the guys. If you can play for me, you can. If you can't, you can't. They know that, and they know that I'm going to be hard but stern but fair. Mm-hmm. And that's all they want is a fair coach.
Coach, talk about some of the things that you're really going to be paying attention to in this first scrimmage here for Texas Southern.
The effort. We got a lot of young freshmen that's willing to play. Effort and details. Do they know their assignment? Do they know their alignment? And do they know their technique?
For you personally, year one and year two, are there things that you kind of learned about yourself in terms of coming into this year two of your administration?
Yeah, I have. I learned that I have to be more patient this year. Last year I was too stringent, not too stringent. Last year I was very stringent of what we're supposed to do, steps and everything. But even though I am this year, I'm a little bit more patient in trying to coach, be more of a coach.
One of the things that's kind of been the talk, and we talked a little bit at SWAC Media Day, but you guys were really banged up last year, and you still won 5 games in terms of what you were able to do within the overall concept of the season last year. But what does that say about this Texas Southern team coming into this upcoming season?
Well, every year you're going to get banged up. Every year a guy's going to go down. You don't want to go down, but it's always the next man up. And I think this year we have more depth than we did last year. So even though our first guy may go down, our second guy is just as good.
I know you won't be naming starters until the first week of a huge game against Prairie View, but are there any particular positions at least that you'll be kind of paying attention to going into this first
Well, our young defensive backs are really looking good, and I don't mind starting freshmen at all. We started some freshmen last year. I don't mind starting freshmen, so it's like people, you should start freshmen, seniors should start. I don't start you a senior. I don't start you because you're a senior. I start you because you can help us win games.
Sure thing. I think that's it, Coach.
Good stuff, Charles. I like how you snuck it in there and you read your coaches really well when they won't give you a lot of information and try to suck around how you get some information. I know you're not going to tell you how to start it. You said it over, folks don't. But I guess if you hear that, you shouldn't keep asking that. If they're not going to give it to you. They got to earn their spot. I'm not naming nobody. But I like the fact you got around and say, what about some positions? There's some positions that you're intrigued about or interested in, a way to kind of get some information about some of these coaches that are so tight-lipped.
Close to the best, yes.
It's certainly a different age and time when you got that. It's interesting from a marketing perspective. It has to be challenging for a SID marketing person to try to find out who they're going to push out there when a coach doesn't want to do that. And so it'll be fascinating to see over the years how does that work together. And that's nothing to say about a coach being different, but understanding the nuances of how to get that information out there is interesting. But good job.
I appreciate that. Yeah, Coach Dishman, he keeps things always very close to the vest at all times. So, appreciative for what information that he was willing to put forth for his fans for Texas Southern. So.
Right. Let me go to you, Drew. What's on your mind in terms of news of the day?
As far as news of the day, and great interview
Or the
there,
week.
Charles, with Coach Dishman. I do like the fact that he said he does not mind starting freshmen, which is contrary to the
That's
trend
true.
that you see throughout
Very much. Oh, yeah.
all levels of football,
Mm.
all levels of college
You're
football.
absolutely right.
Yeah,
Good
so
point. Good catch.
I love that. We're gonna go across to the other side, about 30, 40 miles from Houston at Dr. Cavil. And sad news, Prairie View decides to cut its tennis program as a cost-cutting measure. This comes from HBCUGameDay.com. As the cost of doing business in college athletics continues to grow, one HBCU has been forced to make a difficult decision, that being Prairie View A&M, who announced on Monday that they will cut the men's and the women's tennis program effective immediately. This decision follows a comprehensive evaluation of the university's athletic portfolio and is rooted in a commitment to long-term operational excellence, fiscal sustainability, and student-centered planning. Prairie View A&M said the evolving landscape of college athletics, including rising costs, facility demands, and the need for programmatic focus, necessitated the tough decision. So, and you can go and read more about this from HBCUGameDay.com. Tough. I've just been part of some program cuts at my institution. It's a business, but we are in the people business, because when you cut these sports, it affects the student. And what kind of disturbs me, if I may say, Dr. Cavil and Charles,
Sure. Oh yeah, needs to
the
be
fact
said.
that this decision comes this close to the start of school, those student athletes are really left out in the cold, because chances of them landing on another tennis program, especially considering tennis has a very limited roster, are going to be slim. I'm not going to say none, but the chances of landing are going to be slim. So you're going to potentially have some disgruntled former student athletes on your campus. I do hope that Prairie View, especially considering the time that they're cutting this, if those students decide to remain at Prairie View, will at minimum honor whatever athletic money they were getting, at least for this season. And I'm not saying you got to take them all the way out, but you should at least honor it for this season, because there's not enough time to go out and find anything else.
I think you make salient points. I'm glad you put it out there. I got the cheat code, obviously being relatively close, for lack of better words, with Prairie View A&M's program. I heard about this news, or that it was likely to come, a couple of months ago, really before the end of the spring semester. So I do not know if they were told earlier. I would like to think they were. As G Boom just pointed out, I was also going to point out the fact that they will, if they decide to stay, they will keep scholarships. They decide to put them on scholarship till they finish school, actually. So that part of your question, I think, is an important one, since we have the news to put it out there. What is also a context that I can put out here, not saying that I agree with it one way or the other, to be quite frank and honest with you, but it'd be fascinating to see, as we measure ADs of the year, one of the components we have is the measure of your total program. We talk about your total program in terms of the SWAC All Sports Trophy. And obviously, Brian is one of the ones that's in favor of doing some percentages, because FAMU doesn't offer all the sports where you can get points for in terms of All Sports Trophy. Well, taking away a sport, two sports, makes it more challenging to be at the top of that. So that's one thing that I always think about. How does an AD figure in? Also, a component I know about this, that on the lower end, tennis programs are $200,000, $250,000. And it's my understanding a lot of that is about utilizing that money to spread it over other athletic programs, but also invest in football, seeing that there potentially is the ability to have a higher ROI on football. Now, what do you do once you get that return will be fascinating to me in terms of that. But it'll be intriguing to watch how ADs, presidents, because this obviously had to be approved by the president in terms of making this move. Although I understand at Prairie View that the president provides a lot of autonomy about her cabinet people running their unit, running it effectively. So obviously she gives a lot of autonomy to them, but I'm sure something of this magnitude, she at least was made aware. So fascinating to see the different dynamics and how this moves forward. Something to keep your eyes on, particularly with other programs, other ADs and presidents, how they would like to move. Are those programs with lower number of students? Be interesting to see if they decide to make a similar move to be an invest in a program, or whether they see the value of all sports trophies in measure about, stretching the dollar throughout those programs. So I'm fascinated to see what that is.
One last thing, Dr. Cavil,
let's hit this break because we gotta move into these next segments because we got a couple of folks.
I was gonna say
see if we can add those comments in this next segment as we come back. Let's hit this first break.
All right.
Now, you can't live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
Get ready for the inaugural Unity Classic, Saturday, September 13th at Nathaniel Glover Community Field and Stadium. It's a clash of the Virginia Union Panthers of the CIAA and the Edward Waters Tigers of the SIAC. Plus, an HBCU band battle between the Edward Waters Triple Threat Marching Band and the Virginia Union Ambassadors of Sound. The inaugural Unity Classic goes down in Duval.
History? Yeah, we built that. Pride? We fuel that. And on August 30th, we run that. Two powerhouse HBCUs, Howard Bison, FAMU Rattlers, one legendary showdown under the Miami lights at Hard Rock Stadium. The energy unmatched. The culture undeniable. The vibes straight HBCU. 2025 Invesco QQQ Orange Blossom Classic. Get your tickets and book your hotel now at orangeblossomclassic.com. Saturday, August 30th at 4 p.m. in Miami Gardens.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACChallenge.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil. We're inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop and AD Drew. I know he wanted to get in some comments, but before we do that and we break down the first four of this next 7, 14 through 8, I thought it was interesting to also to look at this at the Division I level versus Division II level, as AD Drew alluded to, how this feels with the students. I would also say with alumni, particularly those alumni that played the sport. They have a unique affinity, so that could be a challenge there. You can see this at the Division I FCS level, how that work out for this sport. Obviously, Division I, particularly for tennis, but can Division II take some advantage in terms of the cost differential? We noticed that Virginia State University announced that it joined a new conference association as a Division I member. That's part of the United States Collegiate Athletic Association, USCAA, which has officially accepted Virginia State as a full-time member for women's soccer, men's soccer, baseball, which they had a while. They just added men's and women's soccer. So it gives you the point that Division II programs that look at different, oftentimes adding sports to diversify their incoming students, particularly adding sports oftentimes to get men participating. And you have the notes that came out with African-American men not necessarily participating at the college level. So I think there's some intrigue of what that looks like. But I wanted to kind of juxtapose all this, put that on the table. You also have at the Division I level, you have a lot of colleges that recruit international students. How does that look, particularly in this current environment with the current administration in terms of what they're doing with international people for whatever reason, in terms of stopping visa, making it harder to get visa, particularly for individuals coming from certain areas and countries. Exactly, Charles. But I mean, when you talk about this in tennis specifically, you got to consider all that. What is that? You had Houston Tillotson that used to have a rich history, great colleague, friend of mine whose father, as he went to FAMU, finished his doctorate at Texas, his father went to University Tillotson. He's from Caribbean island, Central America, in terms of that. And how does that affect when they used to play a lot of tennis there? So a lot of different mixes in there. Any final statement that you want to make on that, Drew, as we tight on this time, but I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Well, you took half of my statement when you mentioned the alumni. I was also going to mention there's a coach somewhere who just lost either their full-time job or their supplement if they were a part-time coach. So in addition to the students being affected, there are adults who are affected by this decision also.
That's true. Very true. Great point. With that, let's get into this next iteration, 14-8. On Tuesday, we did the major division. We do the mid-major now. Get a chance. What I'm intrigued about this and your thoughts is we're going to get to introduce a couple of NIA programs in this variation. So obviously, I think y'all might have some good thoughts on that. So let's jump into it as you're bringing it up. We'll start out in Florida Memorial. The Lions, 6-3-1 last year, 4-2. Had winning seasons of late, hadn't really thrust in, had to close the season they want. Right in the mix oftentimes for a championship late in the season, but can't quite get it done from that perspective. But they play in a very tough conference, 92 points, but they're in the mix. Number 13, surprise, Texas Steers. That's Texas College for those that are not realizing it. They went 7-3, 5-3 last year. Shocked everybody in that Red River Athletic Conference. Lone Star. No, Sooner Athletic Conference. Conference. Let me get it right. 7-3, 5-3, 107 points. And it'll be interesting. Can they replicate that? Can they get better? In terms of what they were doing there, had some big wins in terms of season and winning record. First time in, I can't even count the number of years. Number 12, Albany State Golden Rams, 6-4, 6-2. They're looking to do bigger and better things, solid season, but those, as we talked about on the last show Thursday, at one time, Albany State had their perennial years, and they are in one of those tiers at least, but they would like to get back to the top of the tier for them. So some fans down there in Albany, as Mike likes to remind us, the Golden Rams are in the mix at number 12. Not in that top 7 where they like to end the season. At number 11, Livingston Blue Bears surprised a lot of folks last year and right on the cup. They're right back in the mix. For years, they were in that bottom 7. They're solidly in this 7 now. Can they push upwards in this division? Can they somehow really shock the world and get in that top 7? So fascinating to see what they're going to do this season. 4-3. I think they feel comfortable. They're going to take the next step. Do they backslide? Do they stay the same? Or can they push forward? Let me get in here and see if I can get you all on this. Go ahead, Charles. What are your thoughts on these first ones?
Well, I just like Tuesday. I mean, these are my Fulcrum teams in terms of, Jekyll and Hyde.
You say the hourglass. You just
yeah. But I mean, when I saw Livingstone, I mean, you can make a good hard argument.
Yeah.
They had the upset of the HBCU year last year when they knocked off Johnson C. Smith.
Yes.
So that one was the one that I had to do a double take. Like, no, I think I read it wrong. And then I was like, oh, wow. Livingstone really did knock them off. So that was a huge upset last year. So it'll be very curious to see if they can move their way up. And then Fayetteville State, that's the other one. They really slid back to the pack last year. Can they get back into the upper echelon of things? So those are the two teams within this Jekyll and Hyde 14-8 group that I'm really kind of paying attention to.
Great point. Great points. I want to hear what Drew has to say. He's our resident D2 expert. A lot of time in SIAC, but we have to lower his temperament there because of his duties. But he can really do and show out for us in the CIAA side. I will say this, Drew. Next week, we're going to really pay homage to looking at the D2. When we look at the final 7, we're going to bring in Stephen Gaither to work with you and show some love on the Division 2. So we're going to do it right, Charles, next week. We'll allow you to be on the side with me, and we'll kind of co-host it as we already host, but we'll do it from the question side. We'll put
Perfect.
Right.
Perfect.
In the bullseye and let them do it. With that being said, is that nice tease? Drew, tell us what you think about these 4.
Normally, Dr. Cavil, when you get to this slide, you start getting to the who's who of the college football. This slide right here, Dr. Cavil, is pretty much the who. Okay. And you take Albany State away, and this is like who?
I agree.
Because most people don't follow Florida Memorial. Most people know nothing about them.
Yeah, they forgot that they started back football along with Texas College.
Mm-hmm.
Will Texas College still be in somebody's sentence in November this year, like they were last year?
Right.
And Livingstone has been a bottom dweller traditionally in the old CIAA South. They had the blip on the radar last year. Is it true? Is it not true? You talk about that upset of Johnson C. Smith, which was huge. I still think the upset of the year was Clark Atlanta over Bethune-Cookman, Charles. I mean, I'm just saying. I think.
I mean, they're right there 1 and 2. I mean, it depends on, probably on Tuesday I'd probably say Bethune-Cookman and Clark, but today I'm.
But since it's the D2 show,
this is Thursday.
But it's gonna be interesting to see if the Blue Bears are actually able to sustain that momentum that they picked up last year, because they do not have the advantage of being able to sneak up on anybody this year.
Good comments. Oh man, my wife sent me a text that I put in the group alpha chat, Charles, and brothers are acting up after my wife. So, we'll have to talk about that one off the air. It brings back memories. I just got a text from Alan. He just laughed and then he said, bro, I was like, stop the show. Let's take our next break before we all get in trouble. I'll be right back on the other side. Drew, we'll have to tell you what this is about. You'll get a kick out of it.
History? Yeah, we built that. Pride, we fuel that. And on August 30th, we run that. 2 powerhouse HBCUs, Howard Bison, FAMU Rattlers, one legendary showdown under the Miami lights at Hard Rock Stadium. The energy unmatched, the culture undeniable, the vibes straight HBCU. 2025 Invesco QQQ Orange Blossom Classic. Get your tickets and book your hotel now at orangeblossomclassic.com. Saturday, August 30th at 4 p.m. in Miami Gardens.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern, Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACchallenge.com.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
Get ready for the inaugural Unity Classic, Saturday, September 13th at Nathaniel Glover Community Field and Stadium. It's a clash of the Virginia Union Panthers of the CIAA and the Edward Waters Tigers of the SIAC. Plus, an HBCU band battle between the Edward Waters Triple Threat Marching Band and the Virginia Union Ambassadors of Sound. The inaugural Unity Classic goes down in Duval.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop and AD Drew. Let's continue to get back in there as the group text world is out of control. But with that being said, let's go through 10 through 8. Let's get number 10. We're going to stay with the NIA. NIA is getting some love. Yeah. Langston Lions. Who kind of dropped down a little bit. They had been up in the mix for a couple of years, but kind of fell back. But they still had a winning record, so that tells you a little bit about Langston. But as AD said, a lot of folks said, who? Langston Lions 6-4, 5-3 last season, 128 points. So 3 of the 7 in this block are actually out of the NAIA.
Yeah.
There's only 4 NAIA football playing program, HBCU program. Texas College, Florida Memorial, Langston Lions, and you have Arkansas Baptist. Am I correct? Yeah. Pretty good with my homework there. Even had AD saying, hold on, 1, 2, 3. Number 9 is Shaw Bears going back into the SIAC. 6-4, 4-3. CIAA, excuse me. And number 8, Fayetteville State Broncos that Charles talked a little bit about, saying they dropped down a little bit. And you see that when they are 4-5, 3-4, but they had been a crown jewel of the CIAA for a couple of years. And you see that when you look at this, it's intriguing to me. You have 3 NAIA programs, 3 CIAA programs, and just 1 SIA program in the mix for the 7. With that being said, let me go to you, Drew, kind of get your thoughts on this final 3 and this whole entire list of the 7. The mix that we have right in the middle of the top 21 mid-major programs. And as you alluded to, there's 7. Now you can start thinking about those that are probably likely on the outside looking in.
You know, as somebody who works in the SIAC and who's been around the SIAC for 20 years or so, I should almost be offended that I only see one SIAC team on this screen right now. But I'm not, Bill. I am not offended, because that should mean that first 7,
right?
And the SIAC should be taking up most of those slots. Because if the SIAC doesn't take up most of those slots, and you've got the SIAC in the bottom 7 that you never show, then me and you may have to have a conversation after the show. Just put that out there. But there's one team on the screen, Dr. Cavil, that you have on number 12, Albany State. I think I know one of the teams who probably got your top 7. I'm already going to tell you, Albany State should replace that one team in the top 7 that's going to be purple and gold. I can almost guarantee you they're in the top 7 based on their performance last year. But definitely going to be up there, going to be a player in this conference.
You are correct.
Towards the end of the year. Fayetteville, we talked about the blip on the radar with Livingstone. Was what Fayetteville did last year, a blip on their radar, because Fayetteville has been, I mean, they finished either tops or runner-up in the conference for what, 5-6 years consecutive?
Yeah.
And last year, they weren't even in the money. So is that the blip on their radar, and they're going to return back to the dominance, or have they regressed to a new mean?
Good stuff. Good points. And I will say this. You're correct when you talked about the purple and gold. They are in the top 7. Good deductive reasoning, as we would say. I like what you thought there. I will say this, that there are no NIA programs in the top 7. So they are either CIAA or SIAC. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. Winston-Salem State says Salem State is overrated at number 8. Man, you're supposed to be rooting for your CIAA. Oh, Elizabeth City State was in that bottom 21. And in fact, Charles, as we'll show that, we have that here. But before we show that, Drew, go ahead, Charles. Give your thoughts as we have some of our Division II fans out here asking for questions.
I guess I was caught off guard because you're saying Albany State is going to bump out one of those.
Albany State should be in the top 7.
He said he think they're going to bump out. He put it out there. He think they should bump out Miles. That's what he
said. You said it, not me. See, I just called the colors. You said it, Charles. I set you up. You said it.
You're correct. You're right. You did not say that. I like that. Go ahead, Charles.
Well, like I was saying, I think Fayetteville State, that's the one that I'm curious to see if that was an off year last year, a one-off year, to see if they can get back in the upper echelon of things. The one that's kind of interesting to me, though, is Shaw. And I talk about being Jekyll and Hyde. You know, I remember last year they went to Johnson C. Smith, played them tough there, only lost by 7. They did knock off Livingstone. That's why I thought I was, seeing something weird when I saw Livingstone knock off Johnson C. Smith the following week because Shaw had beat Livingstone. But that's kind of an interesting one to me to see if Shaw can slip into that top 7.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Drew, for those that may have missed it last week, let's do a quick revisit and go to the next slide, and let's go back to those 21 through 15. Which consisted of Lane Dragons, Benedict, as some of our folks are looking, Bowie State Bulldogs, Edward Waters. Somebody thought Edward Waters should have been higher. They're actually in that bottom 21. So they're not in that top 7. Sure. Savannah State Tigers are there. Tuskegee, which gave both of y'all heartache or headache, one of them. Tuskegee Gold Tigers in that at 16. And West Virginia State, a Division II program, but outside of it, what we call the independent. In the mix here in terms of what that looks like. So that's 21 through 15. Let's go back next slide and again show 14 through 8 so people can get an idea of what those consist of. So Some people can do some good deductive reasoning into the top 7 for those programs. Obviously, you won't know the order, and we will give that to you next Thursday when we bring on Steve Gaither and Drew to kind of break down their thoughts going into things in terms of the top 7. Charles and I will sit back and pepper them with our questions. Drew, go ahead.
I haven't counted the number of head-to-heads this year. I will count them before next week.
I think it's like 5.
Because
between the CIAA and SIAC?
Yeah, can the SIAC?
I think it's 5. I love it if it's 5 because that means you're going to get a number in terms of who wins, even if it's just 3-2.
Yeah, because the CIAA knocked the snot out of the SIAC last year.
And did.
Correct.
And did.
So somebody should be wanting a little payback.
Yeah. Even mid-tier CIAA teams knocked the snot out of top SIAC teams last year.
What's that about? They have basketball conference. What's going on?
I wish I had an answer for that, Chuck. But Chuck, you know something? It's the same thing as why does the BAC lead the Celebration Bowl and the BAC SWAC Challenge and their basketball conference?
Yeah,
some things you just can't explain. Why do we drive on parkways and park on driveways? There's just some things that we just do not understand about this life.
Especially at this time. But that's why last week, as you saw on Tuesday, I did that breakdown. These things, as you always say, Charles, are cyclical. You that was evident when you started breaking down in the framework I did 4 errors of distinct frameworks that I did. Obviously, one, there was an error in terms of the whole time, essentially from 1920 to 2024. Then we looked at 1978 to 2024. And then we took when I started doing a ranking in terms of splitting up mid-major and major division, providing a little story of why I did that. Also, the matrix that go into that, but that started in 2002 to 2024. Then you have the last final iteration, which is more focused on the Division I FCS programs with MEAC versus SWAC in the Cricket Celebration Bowl battle, which essentially is the last 10 years. Small sample size, but interesting of how they changed over iterations. That's the same thing you see when you talk about basketball and football leagues, how that has totally flipped over the last 10 years. Maybe some would say really just the last 5 years, for sure. Fascinating to see what's the trajectory of that. With that being said, we're going to take our next break. We should come back on the other side, and we'll have a guest for you. Would maybe give us a chance to get a little insight more of what's taking place in the SIAC. We'll tease that out a little bit, but we're looking to have the commissioner, Dr. Holloman of the SIAC, give us a visit. So let's put a pause in it, take a next break, and see if we can get him back on the other side.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern, Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACTalents.com.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeversVoice.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Get ready for the inaugural Unity Classic, Saturday, September 13th at Nathaniel Glover Community Field and Stadium. It's a clash of the Virginia Union Panthers of the CIAA and the Edward Waters Tigers of the SIAC. Plus, an HBCU band battle between the Edward Waters Triple Threat Marching Band and the Virginia Union Ambassadors of Sound. The inaugural Unity Classic goes down in Duval.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
History? Yeah, we built that. Pride? We fuel that. And on August 30th, we run that. Two powerhouse HBCUs, Howard Bison, FAMU Rattlers, one legendary showdown under the Miami lights at Hard Rock Stadium. The energy unmatched. The culture undeniable. The vibes straight HBCU. 2025 Invesco QQQ Orange Blossom Classic. Get your tickets and book your hotel now at orangeblossomclassic.com. Saturday, August 30th at 4 p.m. in Miami Gardens.
HBCU football fans, the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff is celebrating 20 years this August. From Birmingham to Orlando to campus sites and now in Atlanta. The Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff has been a mainstay in HBCU athletics. 2 decades of providing a national platform on ESPN and now ABC for the finest HBCU programs in the country and some of the most talented players and coaches that have represented them. Forrest Jackson, Tariq Cohen, Javon Hargrave, Darius Leonard, Rod Broadway, Buddy Pugh, all have left their mark on this storied event. This year, we celebrate by welcoming North Carolina Central and Southern to Atlanta, which has cemented its place as the HBCU football capital. Every team who participates in this event looks to start and finish their season in the A by gaining a spot in the Cricket Celebration Bowl. That, however, is earned by becoming conference champions. And it starts right here in week 0. MEAC versus SWAC. The rivalry is real. Thank you for the last 20 years of support. The story never ends.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We're still waiting on Dr. Anthony Holloman, the commissioner of the SIAC. He did say that he was jumping on, so we're gonna see if we can give him a little time here to get into it. But when we're doing that, as we getting to this dialogue a little bit, we're going to obviously ask some questions about HBCU for us, get his insight on that, talk a little bit about the SIAC. Drew, we'll turn the paintbrush on you a little bit in terms of the SIAC from this perspective. And we won't set you up. But what do you think makes the SIAC intriguing this year?
Well, I'll start off with basketball, my favorite sport. New schedule format in basketball. We'll be playing a lot more East-West versus what we have traditionally have played in the SIAC, and I'm intrigued to see how that's going to affect the conference race and the conference standing when it's all said and done, and it comes down and it comes down in the end. Also, the other big thing, it's football season, so this is a schedule flip this year. So the teams that you have played for the last 2 years, some of those teams roll off and new people roll on to your schedule. So how is that going to affect the race in football, as some teams went from having on paper an easier schedule, now they have a harder schedule, and vice versa. So, and then obviously the opportunity to deal with for your fans to go to new places because they haven't been to this school for the last 2 years because they weren't on your schedule. So those are two intriguing things that I'm looking forward to.
I agree with you. Well, we have the man of the hour, and that is Dr. Anthony Holloman, the commissioner of the SIAC, Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. You see him branded up really well there.
I like that, Doc.
Hey, I appreciate, when I come on with you distinguished gentlemen, I want to make sure I'm representing the SIAC.
I see you got your Peloton in the
Peloton,
back. Yeah. I see how you making sure you're keeping your game shape.
I'm representing
Jersey back there on the wall.
So, Dr. Cavil, with individuals like AD Drew,
right,
working in my league, I got to stay on my Peloton because they keep me running.
No doubt about it. Well, we're going to ask you a couple of questions. We'll get into some more focus on the SIAC where we want to go, but there was a huge announcement last week with HBCU for us that went beyond the SIAC in regards to a partnership that we heard about a year or so ago, but this seemed to formalize it with the logo official establishment of the HBCU for us. That includes the SIAC, Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, the CIAA, Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association, the SWAC, Southwestern Athletic Conference, and the MEAC, the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. And in that framework, talked about the official date, July 30th, 2025, when y'all were there in Washington, D.C., when this historic moment took place, as you all mentioned. And let me do this before I move forward to make sure I acknowledge your colleagues. I talked about the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, Commissioner Sonia Steele, Commissioner of the Southwestern Athletic Conference, for those that may not know, Dr. Charles McCullen, and Commissioner of the CIAA, that's Jackie McWilliams-Parker. And we have, obviously, Dr. Anthony Holloman, as we introduced you at the beginning of the show over the SIAC. Serving as gatekeepers of the HBCU athletics, can you give us a little context of what do you see that means to you?
So let me start, Dr. Cavil, by saying that my colleagues that are commissioners of those leagues, Jackie McWilliams-Parker, Charles McClellan, and Sonia Steele, are outstanding representations of excellence on and off of sports entities. They are leaders of young people. And it has been an honor to have a chance to work with them the 3 years that I've served as SIAC commissioner. And this formalization of our allegiance to each other is us announcing that we are going to operate in a strategic manner. There will be focus to all of our actions, because we know that we have a responsibility to those 47 institutions represented in our 4 conferences to not only advocate for them in the sports setting, but we're looking at beyond sports. We're looking at how the decisions that we make, the relationships that we forge, impacts our institutions, because we want our students to come and become better people. We want them to be educated, and we want them to be prepared to go out in the work world. And sports is the vehicle that we are using to do that.
Right.
So what we found is that collectively we are a force to be reckoned with, because we represent institutions that are public, private, church-related, land-grant institutions that have been entities that have produced a number of graduates in all fields. And we understand that as the landscape of collegiate athletics change, we have to make sure our voices are heard. And because we have partnered together, we found that we've had influence. SCORES Act that is a bill that has just got out of committee. We were intricately involved in helping to shape that legislation so that it would represent things that were important to our institutions.
Got it.
And
Wow.
we've done it in a collective manner. Charles has advocated at the White House. Jackie has testified before Congress. I've sat on panels with the president of the NCAA, with the House Judiciary Committee, and Commissioner Stills has been involved as well. And so all of these things signify that we understand that we only compete when our teams play each other, but we have a collective vision for what HBCU athletics should be, and we want it to be sustainable. And so I just count myself to be fortunate to be amongst a group of people who are selfless as leaders.
Oh man, great points and a lot there. I'm gonna ask one more and then we'll share it and give my colleagues a chance to get in some feedback there. Specifically, there were some areas when you said the mission of the HBCU For Us Association is to ensure the growth, visibility, sustainability of HBCU athletics by focusing on these particular areas. You kind of framed it in a little bit of the talk that you just gave there, how you're doing that with making sure that your voice is heard at the legislative level federally. But specifically, you named some focus areas, the group of you all, which is student athlete leadership and development. You break that down in terms of cultivating future leaders on and off the field through mentorship and holistic support programs. Preservation of cultural heritage, celebrating the rich history, traditions, contributions of HBCUs to American sports and society. Another pillar area, if you allow me to use that framework, was competitive excellence, broken down in terms of strengthening HBCU athletic programs to thrive on regional and national stages. A fourth pillar is the financial sustainability and partnerships, securing joint sponsorships, multimedia opportunities, long-term funding strategies, unified advocacy, presenting a collective front on NCAA governance, student athletes' rights, and public policy. That was, I'm sure, what you were talking about when you talk about testifying and those kind of frameworks. The last pillar that was listed here, at least, was the holistic student athlete welfare, promoting mental health, academic success, and career readiness initiative. Obviously, just said that you talked about several of those in your opening statement. But could you break down maybe one of those, whether it's in the area of competitive excellence, partnership, or preservation of cultural heritage, if you would, of what that looks like for folks that may not be able to pick it up from there? For example, is that more across partnerships with games, significantly opportunity? Obviously, MEAC and SWAC have the Cricket Wireless Celebration Bowl.
Right.
You have the MEAC kickoff. You see something like that coming? I think you partnered with the what is that? The
Cavil Labor Day weekend.
Right.
The CIAA and the SIAC champions will play in the Black College Hall of Fame Classic. Miles College will take on Virginia Union. And so this is the first year that we formalized the concept. And what we're working towards with this game is a championship type contest at the end of the season. But we know that to whet people's appetite, so to speak, that we need to use the platform that we had, and we have a great partner in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Nice.
And they've allowed us to formalize this concept, and so I'm excited to see
I look forward to that matchup.
Coach Parker, Coach Gould is new to the league, but he'll get indoctrinated fast. But along with those kinds of matchups, we have the Essence Classic, Johnson C. Smith and Morehouse. We have Shaw playing Albany State. You have Benedict playing Fayetteville State in the Carolinas Classic. Winston-Salem State playing Tuskegee in the Red Tails Classic. Wow. So we have quite a few matchups pitting the CIAA and the SIAC, so that we can, have bragging rights. Because the one thing that I will tell you is that all of us are quite competitive. And so I would like to have the opportunity to talk smack to Commissioner McWilliams-Parker as we go 5-0 against the CIAA in the week 0 games. But those are the kinds of things that we need to make sure we have control over. And so I think when we say making sure that we can be good stewards of the fiscal state of our conferences and our member institutions, that comes with having some ownership in the games that we make. Okay. And that's one of the things that we have focused on, controlling our brands. And, it's been, exciting for me to see some of these old school rivalries come back in play. Winston-Salem State, who has been historically a great program in CIAA, and Tuskegee is the standard bearer in the SIAC, and for them to compete on a national TV platform will be a historic contest.
I remember when they faced off in that Pioneer Bowl many moons ago. So you're right.
No, and those are the kinds of games that people want to see.
Yeah.
And then you take Johnson C. Smith, my alma mater, who has not been historically a great football program, who had a great season last year, to go to Harvard Stadium and play in the Essence Classic. Essence represents Black excellence, but this is their first time dipping their toe in the water when it comes to sponsoring athletic competitions. And so those are the kinds of things and allegiances and partnerships that we're trying to forge. I think when you see us being selfless, because you have the MEAC and SWAC as Division I schools, and you have the CIAA and the SIAC that play Division II, but we consider ourselves to be equals.
Nice, great, Charles.
Yeah, Dr. Holloman, I want to ask this question in regards to, you talked about the changing landscape of college athletics, but from an advocacy standpoint, when you guys go to Congress, are there vocal advocates for HBCU athletics federally and on a statewide level?
So one of the things that I think when we work collectively, we all have our spheres of influence. Here in the state of Georgia, Congressman Sanford Bishop, Congresswoman Lucy McBath are individuals that I have great relationships with. And so whenever we're in Washington, they are tremendous advocates for us and ensure that we get in front of the right people. And so when you look across the different commissioners and where their offices are located, the MEAC has Bobby Scott, who's a tremendous advocate. Terry Sewell is a tremendous advocate for the SWAC. And then when you go into the CIAA, They have a strong contingent of leaders that represent those institutions. And so for us, the Congressional Black Caucus gives us a voice. And so they have allowed us to meet with their leadership to talk about what they can do to help us in this space. Because most of the time you would have individuals that they represent, if they didn't go to a HBCU, they represent institutions in their districts.
Sure.
And so we want to make sure that they are informed, because for me, unfortunately, I think athletics play an outsized role in society. I would like for us to focus on academics, graduation rates, access for underserved populations. But because athletics are important, we need to make sure they're educated on what will serve the interests of our institutions, because we know that if employment or student athletes are classified as employees, that will have a negative impact on HBCUs and smaller institutions. We know that if there's not some antitrust protections, that would negatively impact us, because if you could sue me because you don't like the amount of playing time you get, not that you could win the lawsuit, but that you can bring the lawsuit will make us spend money litigating it.
Yeah.
And so, I just believe that being politically conscious, understanding that you got to win in the court of public opinion is important.
Good stuff. Drew?
Once again, Commish, how you doing today? One of the things that you announced at SIAC Football Media Day was the partnership at the end of the season between the SIAC and Conference Carolinas. Because we know, that's real, CIAA, SIAC kind of get crapped on at the end of the year because we only play a 10-game schedule to allow room for our conference championship games. And you mentioned that during your address there during the SIAC Media Day. Kind of talk about where that came from, how that all came together, and what you see as the potential benefit of this partnership for our SIAC institutions.
So, Drew, having served as director of athletics at Fort Valley State, I was witness to when Savannah State came back into the league and they went 8-2 because they were not eligible for the championship game that year. They were on the outside looking in. Then the next year you had Fort Valley 8-2, not in the championship game, ranked 7th going into week 11, and because they didn't have a game, they dropped behind an 8-3 team that was out of the SAC 8. And so when I stepped into this role, I had a couple goals in mind. One was to raise the profile of football in the SIAC. We're known as a football conference, but unless you're winning championships, you're not raising your profile. So the first thing we did was eliminate divisional play so that I could ensure that the two best teams made it to the championship game. And what I wanted to do was also create a competitive schedule where every game matters. And so the first 2 years that we've done it, we've gone down to the last week with 3 teams having a chance to get the second bid into the championship game.
That's huge.
With that, you leave 2 good teams out. And so it's arguable that Fort Valley was the second best team in the SIAC both years, but because Albany State beat them, and Albany made the championship game one year, and then last year Albany beat them and Clark got into the championship game. Well, what that told me was I need to take the ambiguity out of the decision-making process. And the only way I could do that was to create extra games so my third and fourth place teams have a chance to keep their regional ranking. And, you know, I understand because Dr. Cavil, I was making phone calls, trying to get people to play week 11 game with me that wasn't playing. And, you know, if people don't budget it, they don't feel like they need to do it. And so I said, well, you know, I'm going to formalize a partnership. And Conference Carolinas will be their first year playing football, but they have taken teams from the Gulf South, the SAC-8, and they're looking to build out their schedule. And so I, you know, agreed that we would play our third and fourth place teams. And in doing that, we would know that the game is going to happen. And this year, the two games will be played on SIAC campuses. And we put some parameters in place that it would not be over a 400-mile trip. So that means that, you know, we can manage the costs. And if the conference office has to supplement the schools that are hosting, we'll figure out how we do it. But we want to get as many teams in the expanded playoff field as we can. And I think that's the best way for us to do it, because we can argue whether the process is fair or whether there's some inherent bias, but I'm going to take all of that out because the numbers are the numbers.
I like that. Good stuff. Get you out of here on this one. We released our poll rankings today, mid-major division, as we like to refer to Division II NAIA programs. Last week we did the first 7. We started with 21, so a couple of teams outside of this, but we'd like to just do the 21. So today we released the next 7, which was 8 through 14. You had in that first group, you have 5 SIAC schools in there. In that second group, you got 1, so you got 6. You have these last 7. So Drew was thinking that he feels comfortable that there are going to be some SIAC teams in there. So you could have potentially, you know, 9, 10, 11 teams in this 21. How do you feel when you look at rankings? Obviously, you can't necessarily get into all that, but the importance of seeing your teams, getting the branding and making sure that we talk about HBCUs, Division II, CIAA, specifically SIAC. What are your thoughts on stuff like this when we bring that to the floor?
So it's exciting for me because you all give HBCU sports a voice, and people are going to follow what you're talking about, and they're going to look at your rankings and see what happens as the season goes on, and inevitably you'll be proven right on a lot of it. And so when I see that the SIAC is represented, I know that we have a competitive league from top to bottom. And one of the things, Drew, if you would recall, that I made mention in my remarks at Media Day, that the SIAC holds wins over the SWAC in 3 straight seasons. I classify Tennessee State as one of those institutions, but you know, Clark Atlanta beat Bethune-Cookman last year. Lane beat Tennessee State. Miles beat Alabama State. So, you know, we play a competitive brand of football, and our league is improving from top to bottom. We have some new coaches that have come into the league. Carter at Central State, Watson at Fort Valley, Good at Miles. Then you have Coach Connor that came back to the league at Lane. So you have veteran coaches like Coach Mathis. I speak to him regularly. He's composed a great staff of very good football people that I think will make a difference in the program at Morehouse. We even had an AU scrimmage during spring football. Morehouse and Clark Atlanta got after it. Right. So, those are the kinds of things that elevate the league. And, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that SIAC lost a lot of good football players to the transfer portal. Coach went to Alabama A&M, and I think he took 10 or 11 players. The same thing, Coach Gibbs went to A&T, and he took a couple of players. We had a young man from Fort Valley transferred to Purdue. So we've sent kids to the Division I level, had some, attrition to other leagues like the CIAA. But what that tells you about the SIAC is that we're strong from top to bottom. The coaches are making each other better, and that's creating opportunities for them to move up. And, we know that the SIAC is a proven ground. And so Dr. Cavil, when it's all said and done, you reign supreme.
I like that. That's the attitude you got to have. And to your point, WSSU Ram Nation talks about that. Your last point, obviously, you don't want to lose coaches, but if you lose them, you certainly want them to go up a division with the opportunity in terms of a partnership. And your last two championship level coaches are in the MEAC and the SWAC.
And I will tell you, for me, I'm excited for those gentlemen. I know both of them really well. Coach Barry did an amazing job at Benedict College, and has gone to South Carolina State and brought that program back. And Sean Gibbs will go to CCA, and I imagine that A&T has lost 16 straight games in league play. That losing streak will come to an end rather quickly this season.
Look at that! I'll tell you. And obviously, you had coach over there at Alabama A&M coming out.
Sam Shade.
Mom. Yeah.
And Coach Shade, I'm excited for him because, he stepped in some big shoes for Coach Ruffin when he took over the program.
Yeah.
And, right. They struggled early on, but, he stuck to it and built the program in, his vision. And, the win last year over Carson Newman in the first round of the playoffs was significant because what it did was put those other conferences on notice.
Yes, sir.
This IAC is committed. And that's why we are making provisions to play these other games so that we can get more teams in the playoffs, because once we are able to place 2 and 3 teams in the playoffs, you can look for the SIAC to start competing for national championships.
I like it. Great points. Let me give one final shout out there to Sneaker Shop Talk. He wanted to make sure that he's a little nervous when you talk about that Lane Tennessee State game, but quietly we're going to charge him for the fact that he's getting that free SWAC licensing in terms of state. He quietly gets excited about that, but he has to be careful with some of the folks around there before he brokers that deal in terms of coming to the SWAC. Because I heard it's a little more expensive now. So I'm
but I think when you look at the value of being affiliated with our institutions,
right?
You can't put a price on that, because I know that A&T, Hampton, they're playing in the other leagues, but the reality of it, their programs across the board have suffered because when you play games at home against people that don't travel and support your home field advantage, then that takes away resources that you were investing in your program, because you have those traditional rivalries that have existed for the time in schools that either were started out in the CIAA and went to the MEAC, or started out in the SIAC and went to the SWAC. So I think there's great opportunities, and the cost to be affiliated, is going to continue to rise. Because if you look at what we're doing as a conference and conferences, I have 22 ESPN games, about 10 HBCU games, a game on NFL Network. The SWAC, are doing their own thing with 40 plus games that they're televising to complement what they do on ESPN and HBCU Go. The CIAA has HBCU Go, and the MEAC has ESPN. So if you look at it as a collective, I'm not sure that there's any stronger programs outside of the Power Four than the HBCU 4 Power.
I like it. Good point. We'll let you out of this. Any final comments, statements that you want to share?
Well, Dr. Cavil, I want to make sure you and Charles know that SIAC Media Day for basketball will be September 24th. And so we have an open invitation.
Thank you.
We are going to be introducing the location for this year's tournament, and it's going to be big. So,
you got me interested. You piqued my interest. Let me start looking at these airlines.
Right, exactly.
So I just want to make sure y'all know.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. And I heard you got some other small things that you're working on, expansion, but I won't get you in trouble on that.
One thing that we're gonna do, Dr. Cavil, we're gonna be strategic.
There you go.
You have to be an asset to be affiliated with the SIAC, because my 15 member institutions have great brand recognition, and I'm excited and honored to serve as commissioner.
Perfect. We'll leave it right.
I'm just happy he told me that it's going to be someplace exciting. That means I probably won't be hosting it again this year. So I'm all the way happy now.
We still gonna put you to work.
I don't mind working, but working and hosting is two different levels of work.
That's true. Exactly. Well, we're gonna keep you here. We're gonna jump off of here, but we're gonna keep you on here if you don't mind. Thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. J. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, come from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and A.D. Drew. Guest with us, honored, is Dr. Anthony Holloman, Commissioner of the SIAC, Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. With that being said, again, we want to thank you for listening. Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. And as we get back to football season, toe meeting leather, on Sundays, we're here at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, so we can tell you what took place in the SIAC, CIAA, SWAC, and MEAC, and the independents. on that Saturday, some Thursday and Friday for that matter. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. It's DRKENYATTACAVIL, DRKENYATTACAVIL. Threads, Facebook and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook and Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We're going to give Dr. Anthony Holloman a little quiz here. We're going to talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
Drew.
Lecture.
Dr. Holloman.
You don't know it.
I don't know.
I told you we gonna get it. I like to set him up. Just say dismiss.
Dismissed.
You winner.
Travel light.